because we have so many strong black sisters here, I needed some help. So I reached out to Brother Vaness. Brother Ben was going to help me hold it down. So this is Tesman Figueroa. She is Bernie Sanders' former national staffer, and she is now a Fox News commentator. And if you guys seen any of the videos that we sent out, you saw her on the Breakfast Club, and she is vicious. Boy, she's going to give you that work today. The next is, and like I said, I'm just going to introduce them out and let them say something before we get started. Brother the next is, he's an entrepreneur, he's a teacher, a motivational speaker. I'm so impressed with his work, and I'm so happy to have him here. Brother Benex is here. And 2017, there was a trajectory change in our country, and a lot of that came from Tamika Mallory and her folks over there in New York, starting of the Women's March that probably around the world, not probably, but had millions of people marching from around the world, and in this country, turned it up topsy-turvy. We have Tamika Mallory here. So I'm just going to pass it down after I introduce the one and only, my boss. My queen, my boss. Her name is Dove, and I can't wait. People don't know that Dove and I have been doing this work together for a very, very long time, and I'm just happy that she's going to spring with you guys today. And she is a co-founder of Not This Time, my wife, Dove. So I'm going to let her say a few little things, and I'm going to pass it down so they can say a few little things.
First of all, I just want to thank you guys for coming out. Every time we get an event, we see new faces, and we've been giving events for over 3 years. And within those 3 years, we used to see like the same faces at our events. It would be the same faces, the same people fighting. And I'm just happy that now with these events, reaching out to our youth and our people in general, that we are seeing some new faces of people coming out and getting new information and trusting information and just learning and just getting out, period. It's really hard to take yourself out of your normal surroundings and bring yourself around people, and just to ingest new information from people is hard anyway, because a lot of people are really set in their ways and are not even able to receive any other information from somebody else. So I'm so happy that you guys came out to visit and to hear the powerful voices in not only our community but across the nation. I just thank you guys.
Hello, how are you all? It's good to be in Seattle. It's good to see some good folks up here doing some good work. Up here, across here, where do I live? In New York, so it's across here, right?
Way across.
Way across. I tell people all the time that the flight to Seattle is a long, long flight. It's like I fly to LA, I fly to all these other places. And you know, you get there, it takes a while, but it's not like this. This is a real flight. But being invited to participate with Brother Andre, his beautiful wife and family, and being here to visit with all of you and to talk with you in the conversations with the streets is a very, very special place for me. You know, I try to spend more than 80% of my time investing in communities and really being on the ground across this country. And one day I saw a meme that someone created about me on social media, and it said that Tamika Mallory is good on any MLK Boulevard. And
that's right.
It's probably one of the most special moments of something that I've seen. And a lot of people have said, thank God, beautiful things about my work and the people that I work with, but having folks to identify me as being someone who they can see in their communities is really what is most dear to my heart. And no matter where I am in the world, I'm always looking for the people. And so being here being a part of this conversation gives me the sense that, you know what, we're not as defeated as people believe. That there are still folks of good moral conscience out here ready to take on the issues of our communities, the issues of our young people, which in itself has its own sort of narrative out there about our young people. And that's not just Black children, which we know that young Black kids need a great deal of support. But with everything that we see happen in this country, all of our children are being impacted in terms of the way in which they are just being trained and raised and what is in their mind. So I truly believe that in order for us to make a difference right now, we have a responsibility to sit with each other, to work with one another, to build with one another, and to really have some honest dialogue. We were having honest dialogue earlier today about the pitfalls, the challenges, the stress, all that we go through. And if we don't have those conversations in public and have them in a way in which our young people can actually see the sacrifice that people are making in order for us to have a more fair and equitable society, then we're missing the mark. So again, I'm grateful to Brother Andre for inviting me to be here, and I'm looking forward to not just a fruitful conversation, but a fruitful conversation that will bear something for all of us to eat so that we can be a stronger community together.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Teslyn Figueroa. I try to, Andre said, just tell people a little bit about yourself. And what I want to do is not spend time talking about myself, but more about you. And spend time talking about you and building you up. And I try to allow discernment to lead. You can have discernment, but wisdom is so important. I can see something, but only wisdom tells me exactly what to say and how to say it. And so I pay attention to the surroundings, and when I hear Andre saying that 300 people have reserved, I want you to understand something about 300. So there was something called Gideon's Army that was 300. When I started my staffing firm in 2007, and I went around and I organized 300 people in 3 weeks in Orlando, Florida for the first National Urban League Convention in Orlando, Florida. And they said there's no way you can get people to come out and want to serve. And it was 303 weeks. And so if anybody's any believers in the house, now you're going to get part little Kim, part pastor. Y'all gonna have to keep up because I go from one side to the other. I'll make quote lyrics, I'll make quote scriptures. You're going to have to keep up. So in the Bible it said you started with 10,000 and you ended with 300. And so it's important that those numbers are significant when you're talking about working in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And so when you look at discernment, it's not a coincidence that 300 were reserved. Now, whether they make it here or not, that's not what I need you to pay attention to. Whether they get here on time or not is not what I need you to understand on the reason why 300 were reserved. So there were also somebody in the wilderness that also had to go around in the desert for 40 years, and a lot of them didn't make it. See, this generation is about Joshua, the new generation, moving over to the land of milk and honey, whether you're with me or you're not. So even though people always can't make it, and I'm not speaking to them, I'm trying to get you to get the significance of why numbers matter and people that are around you matter. This same situation, you may make it, a lot of people may not. When we look at Harriet Tubman, we look at how many people were free and how many more could have freed had you just not paid attention. So know that the significance of you in this room right now at this moment matters. And sometimes when we talked about earlier, when you look around and people are not with you, and you look around and people are not standing with you, it's not always going to be 10,000. It's not always going to be 200. It may not be thousands and thousands of people with the Women's March that galvanized and were ready to raise their hand, but when my sister got in trouble, what were they? See, these are the real conversations that have to be had in order to have a real conversation with the streets. And so, when I went on the tour yesterday, and they talked about a longshoreman, and I want to know if I got any longshoremen in the house. Do you even know what a longshoreman is? Let me give you the definition. Because I learned this on the tour. He said that the longshoremen worked 2 to 3 hours and made 6 figures. Because they could only work for 2 to 3 hours. I'm thinking about becoming one myself, quite honest. Because they said it was a 6-figure salary to work 2 to 4 hours. And they said the reason why was because of the precision that it required to be able to move one load to the other. And so when we look at the definition of longshoreman, a person employed in a port to load and unload ships. And so we're going to do some unloading tonight. And what I need you to do is take that ship and take what it is that God has given us, and I need you to take it back to your communities and load it on somebody else. Because if you're going to be in Seattle, where the port is, then you have a responsibility.
Right.
You have a responsibility to load and unload that dock. And they said that every year 1,200 of those ships, what do they call them? The containers drop in the sea. 1,200. Why is that? See, some things are going to drop. Some people in your life are going to drop. Some situations are going to drop. Some family going to drop. Some loved ones going to drop. Some friends going to drop. Some projects are going to drop. But the question is, are you still going to load the ship that has been given to you? And so that's what hopefully we're here to do this evening, to load and unload. And know that I'm not here to unload and tell you what to do and how to do. I'm here for you to load on me. Because we can talk about ancestors and we can talk about those who have done it before, but we're here now.
That's right.
And so we don't build each other and lift each other and load and unload the game. I talk a lot about the game. I've been loving talking to Andre because I get to talk about the game, but everybody understand my lingo. So if we don't unload the game, and if we don't unload wisdom, then we are really at a loss. So I'm just looking for some longshoremen in the building. Do I got any? The faster y'all say it, I'll shut up.
I should have went first. But I want to thank God for this panel. Definitely want to thank Brother Andre and everyone who is a part of his organization for seeing the value in wanting to bring me out here as a young brother. Because you have a lot of gatekeepers, you know, who you got a young brother and then you got the elders out there, and we don't find our way to work together. But the scripture talks about the old for counsel and the young for war. And a lot of times in our community, man, the youth want to go after the elders and the elders want to come after the young people. And we want to show each other which one is the smartest. And I believe if we just tie our works together, we can do a lot and be more powerful by connecting with one another. Because I may have a skill, and I've had several people say that I'm smarter than them in certain situations. But I don't say that I'm smarter than them. I just feel like I have a power that you necessarily don't have, and you have a power that I necessarily don't have. And if we bind those powers together, then we can be Black Panther, maybe. You know, we can be our own celebrity and superstar. So I just want to thank the panel. If y'all would, please give the brother another round of applause. I am a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I've been in the Nation of Islam going on 4 years now. Before that, I was an All-American basketball player. And my mother didn't want me to stop playing basketball. Of course, my dad didn't want me to stop playing basketball because they invested a lot of money in me playing basketball. In fact, a lot of the principles that I learned in basketball, I'm now utilizing now. I'm a point guard. As y'all can see, I didn't walk in here 6'7". I walk in here about 5'9", 5'10" on a good day. I'm not going to try to dunk. I ain't trying to win big. I'm not trying to catch no alley-oop. I'm going to throw it to somebody who's 6'7". So the principle of that is that I may not be into farming. I may not be into building a school, building a restaurant. I may do some of those things. But as a community, when you look at the word community, you have the word unity. And the word unity, you have the word unity, you have the word one. So I believe if you focus on what you're doing, you focus on what you're doing, and you focus on what you're doing, and we come together, now we can pool our resources and be very powerful. So for me, I always try to focus on what I can do, because I believe self-improvement is the basis of community development. All around the country, we've been talking about unity. You know, since the 50s and the 70s, what we need unity. But I believe we have a misconception about what unity really is. See, there's a difference between unity and uniform. Unity is, you know, everybody may have a different ideology, everybody may have a different teacher, but we coming together on the common grounds for a common goal. Uniform is everybody got to be in the Nation of Islam, everybody got to be a Black Panther, everybody got to be this. And that's kind of hard to kind of, you know, bring everything together and be uniform, because we all different. I got a different fingerprint than all of y'all. I got a different pupil than all of y'all. I don't care if I had an identical twin. We still going to be different, and we still going to have different mindsets. So for me, when I came into the Nation of Islam, My parents said that I was gonna get killed. My parents said that you're throwing your life away, all these kind of different things. But I now have over 500 million views on social media and have helped transform many lives. Many people have reached out to me and said that the videos and the words and the message has stopped them from committing suicide. We've had many men go back and be sole providers of their households. We've had people that said that they overcame their depression by following the videos, because I believe the scripture also says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. You know, if we can change our mindsets, I believe we can change our actions. In fact, my teacher said that our people live in the slum because the slum lives in our mind. If we change our mindset and stop looking at these women for their behind and look at them for their mind, then we'll begin to live in more success. All of that sounds good. At the end of the day, I've accomplished a lot of things. As you said, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been able to hire people. I've even been able to hire some of my family members. But without the comprehensive knowledge, I don't think you guys are really understanding. I was actually born in prison. I was born in prison at 10 days old. My biological mother's cousin, who I call Mama now, has been taking care of me. So she had to sacrifice her life to give me life. And for me, that was a prime example of what it takes to be successful.
Yeah.
Because you have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice that time. My mom, I never seen her take a vacation. I never seen her buy clothes, extra clothes for herself. I never saw her buy a gift for herself. She was always making sure that I had everything I needed and I wanted. And for me, I use those same principles in business. I use those same principles when it comes to any vision or goal that I have in life, that we all must sacrifice. My first time seeing my biological father was in his casket, about around the age of 10. And I recall seeing my biological mother at the age of 5. I recently started to share this story, and I shared it with a brother named Brother Tony Muhammad in Detroit. And he said, Brother Ben, maybe the God had allowed you to be born in that type of situation in prison, because one day you was going to be saving your people from the prison that they had been put in all around the world mentally. So that's why I'm here. I'm here because it's an obligation. I'm here because as a man, we are the providers, protectors, and maintainers of the community. Myself first, then my family, then my community. John 14:12 says, those who believe will do the work that I'm doing. Well, the work that he was doing was going in the highways and the byways. In fact, one of the people was asking him, why are you over there sitting with the sinners? He said, man, because I didn't come here to, call the self-righteous ones. I'm the doctor. I'm supposed to go over there with those who need some healing. So I'm here to heal. Yeah.
So I'm going to say a couple of words, and then I'm going to give to our poet that starts us off. This event does not start off until after we've heard from Jamar, our poet. So let me just say that my concept, since we are a smaller, can you guys just move up, everybody move up together, please? Since we're smaller, I want to look at your beautiful faces. We got too much space in between. You know, there's a scripture that says, don't despise the day of small things. You gotta know that, right?
Yeah.
Right, all right. Come on, just move up. Let me acknowledge the head of the NAACP in this part of the country. Sadiq, can you just stand up, Sadiq? Thank you, God. So, after not this time, we came together and started Initiative 940, which brought police accountability to this state, the first and only state in this country with police accountability. Not this time started, and we branched out to other communities to have them help us, natives, Latinos, Asian Pacific Islanders. We went to unions. We had white allies, and we built the largest people of color coalition in the history of this state and got the job done. The motto at Not This Time is what?
Do the work.
So we wanted to do the work. We didn't want to be out there just talking about what we wanted to do. We went out there doing what we wanted to do because we knew that the work would show before we could say what we were about. And so, they really didn't give us a chance, and they laughed at us, but we laughed at them. And in 3 years' time, we was able to produce, like I said, history in this country. by producing the first and only police accountability in the country. We also decided that the inquest process here was not fair, because during the inquest process, police would have attorneys. The inquest process is like a mini trial to find out, what's the evidence behind how a person was murdered, how they was killed. So we had that here in King County. So it was so unfair since its inception, because they don't give families attorneys. So police would come in with their attorneys and just mop the floor. 89% of all the families that went through that inquest never had attorneys. So I went through that inquest process with my little brother Shay, and we had some attorneys that helped us and supported us, and that worked pro bono. So I said, I want to change this. This is awful. So our organization at the time and other organizations around PDA and the CPC got together, and we said we got to change the inquest process. So we changed the inquest process at first, make sure that this city provided attorneys for every family that goes through an inquest process. And we made the inquest process fair, because everything was leaning towards law enforcement. So that was another thing that we wanted to do. We're also working on bail reform here in Washington State. We want to make sure that we change that, because like 70% of the people that's in jail are there and haven't been found guilty of any charges, right? So that's unfair. They're there because they're poor. So they're punishing poor people, right? So all the people that's in jail, if you get a jaywalking ticket or some type of mini offense and they give you a $3,000 bail, Sandra Bland, and you can't get it, you stuck in jail only because you don't got the money. But if you're rich, you'll never have to be in jail because you got the money. So we think that they are punishing poor people. And we're going to change that. It's unfair. New Jersey have changed some things that is working quite well. We've seen that. We've heard about that. And we're going to make sure that that process is changed. Right now, not this time, is also invested in the implementation. Yes, we changed the law. But what a lot of people don't know, that that's just the beginning stuff.
That's right.
You have to then implement the law. You know, there's a lot of laws in the book right now that's not implemented. They're just sitting there. So it's equally important as changing the law is the implementation process. And the community's voice needs to be in that process. A lot of these things that have happened around the country that have been going on for many, many decades, community voices have not been at the table. You know that old saying, if you're not at the table, you want the menu, right? So we make sure, not this time, that anything that has to do with police accountability, they know that it's not official unless our people are there. That's what we did. That's what we did. So we contracted, so we got victory, and we got a lot of political and social capital. And with that political and social capital, we went to the mayor and said, listen, we want to do something for our particular demographic. We will call this Conversations with the Streets. And what I told her is that, listen, the other police chief that was here, I went and talked to her a couple of years ago because Willa Jemison and I and Dominique Davis had heard that there was about to be some gang explosions, right before the summer. This was a couple of years ago. Where's Will at? Where's Will at? My little brother. My little brother, Jemison. So we called those gang members and said, let us talk to you before you guys act on anything, right? So they came, they had guns and everything, but it's our people. But the fact that they came showed us that they wanted to listen, right? So I told them, listen, I'm going to go talk to some people. Can you hold off on anything you decide to do? Yes, Dre, we're going to hold off. So I called the police chief at the time, Kathleen O'Toole, and I said, listen, we have a great opportunity here. These kids is willing to listen, but I need some help because we need to find some jobs for these kids. I can't just go tell them that we want to do something. We're not providing a way of helping to help them with their families and things. And she says, I'm on board. I'm going to get my people together and we're going to work on this. I said, great. So I didn't hear nothing back. In 2 weeks, one of the guys that came to the meeting was killed, one of Willa Jemison's family members. So when I was in a community meeting with the mayor, the new mayor, I told her of this incident. This is why I don't trust you guys. This is why I don't believe that your desire for the community is the same as mine. Right? And I rehearsed to her what had happened. And when I came to her after we won police accountability and told her, this is what I want to do, she said, well, how much is it going to take? So I told her, and she said, we're funding it. So we got the city, we in the city, right now, City Hall, that have funded this work for the community. Now, when we fund this work for the community, and we bring professionals and leaders from all over this country for this community, and you don't show up and get this blessing from this work, it don't matter that we are a small percentage of people here in this state. You might not never see these people personally.
Right.
Never. We got to do better. Do you understand our community here in Seattle?
Yes.
We got to do better. We have an opportunity. We did the work. We're bringing people from all over the country to come and speak here in Seattle during our contractual agreement with the city and with the mayor. Where is that going on? That the mayor is sponsoring the work for our community. Do you understand how important this work is? So I want you today, when you leave here, after we have this conversation with each other, we're building black beauty and black unity. And this is not about ideology, but we're elevating our unity above ideology. This is something big. And when this begins to go around the country after December, and you see people all over the country come and understand what we're doing here, and you know it started here first, and you didn't participate, you're going to feel real funny about it. That's real. So we're going to officially start it with Brother Jamal. Come lay it down, brother. Come set the tone for us, family.